or say you quoted a rate to your borrower of say, 3.5%, but then they didn't qualify for that product. And then now you're going to have to, but you have another option potentially that's a little bit higher rate, more fees or something like that. How would you approach that call when you make that call? Because no one likes to give that call and no one likes to hear that call if you're on the other end. So is it the same exactly right. concept? Like I've got some news that you're not going to want to hear. It's probably going to ruin your day. Like tell us like.
Right. Yeah. It's a combination of things. And what's great about what you guys do is there is a sequencing of conversations.
Right.
And so letting people know that this is something we're going to try for, but there's a chance that it might not happen.
Kind of like, setting up expectations.
Yeah, being very clear about that. Like this, if you have the best qualifications, the best credit, the best everything, the best history, this is what you'll qualify for.
Right.
However, right, we got to take a look at it and we got to see. And as soon as I know, you'll know.
Right.
Right. That's the other thing. Like they look at you as a trusted advisor in a lot of ways.
Right.
And so if you never let them get caught off guard, and if you're constantly using your communication to set expectations moving forward, then they're always going to look at you as somebody like, well, you know what? I didn't get the rate that I wanted, but, John never leads me astray.
Right.
Right. He always makes sure that I know what's coming at me and I'm never caught off guard by it. And so, when he tells me something, I believe him.
Right.
And that's sequencing out your conversation to prepare them for what they're going to see in the future, as opposed to letting them get caught off guard by it when we get hit by the train. That's a huge part of it. And then the communication side, using accusations audits, right? And you're probably not going to like this. We gotta run it through the system first and see what the system kicks out before I can make any promises to you. I don't want to lead you astray. I don't want to promise you anything that I can't deliver on. So we need to go through this process first, right? If they know that coming in,
they're going to have a better chance to, when you deliver that news, they're going to have a better outcome or better response when you give them the bad news, right?
Exactly right. And to your point, as we were talking offline earlier, right, when they've seen the billboards and the commercials that say, you can get this rate if you engage in this process, right? They let go of some of that, because a small caveat, the fine print under those is if you have a perfect credit score,
right,
and you've never missed a payment in the last 15 years, right? Like that's not part of the marketing scheme, because they don't want to scare people off.
Yeah. So do you in that call, do you bring up, some of the reasons why, like you kind of, when you're bringing them back down to reality, like you're not this person, you're not this A borrower, you're not this pristine borrower that you might've thought in your head. And here's why. Like, do you have to like kind of show them like, did you miss this payment, or do you get them involved in that conversation, or you just sort of tell them? But is it kind of like, I see here on your credit, you did miss a payment, and that's what the underwriter's bringing up, and that's what kind of kicks you out of the best, tier that we've got. Like, what's the best way to deliver that message? Do you want to bring in some of the negatives that have caused them to not fit into that, into that product, or?
Well, when you're working with them, how does it help you to know why they missed the payment 2 years ago?
Well, and you might, what happens a lot is someone will tell you, I've got an 800 credit score, right? And then you pull their credit and it's like 620, Right. And there's also two kinds of credit reports. There's a consumer report that you get from like, Credit Karma or whatever. And then there's the mortgage report, which is like way more in depth. It's a tri-merge report. It's got a narrower range, like 550 to 850, something like that, where, or maybe 500 to 850, but where like on your Credit Karma, it's more of like a 900 to like 6 or, something like that.
Right.
So you're not,
a little different.
It's just so misleading, because people always think they have better scores than they do when they come into mortgages. And so you have to give them that bad news a little bit, often.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Generally, you guys use the lowest score, right? If you're looking at 3 score, you guys use the middle one. Okay, right. So either way, they're still not, their best score of the 3 is still not being used.
Right.
And that catches some people off guard.
Right.
Because they look at the Credit Karma, they see the 825,
right,
but then their middle score is, 750 or whatever, right? It's probably not that far apart, but it's definitely less
usually,
than that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what catches them off guard. So as a trusted advisor, letting them know ahead of time when we do this.
Like when they throw out, I got an 800. Well, how do you know you have an 800? Like asking them that.
Yeah, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. What was how'd you attain that score? Right? Where'd you get the information from? Oh, I got it from here. Okay.
Just to let you know.
Right. Just because I want to make sure that you were not surprised by any part of this.
Right.
We don't use Credit Karma score.
Right.
This is the process that we go through.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when everything comes back, you're probably going to be shocked by the credit score number that we use.
Right.
And I just want you to know that before we even get down that road, I want you to know that you are going to be surprised by this.
Right.